You might get beheaded.
And there's no amenities
But
on
they're
a
not
train,
as
on a
packed, like
bus.
Stefan was saying, a half-empty train's a pretty good thing, a full train is not that great.
A 70% train though is really good as well.
So if you,
Yeah.
if VIA gets its load factor from 55% to 70%, that's a big chunk of revenue that's coming in. But imagine if there are 10 people, you've just gone one more person in there. So one is the perception gap, the other is the revenue gap. The revenue gap gets filled in. Perception, one extra people, perhaps not.
Can I start with the comments, please?
No.
And I said to Rob, you know, we're gonna go easy on it, we wanna build up the confidence, but here's the thing. Can you show me those the appendices you've got there?
And in the interest of full disclosure, I said, don't you dare believe it.
You did.
Wow.
I watched that presentation and thought, what, yeah, where's the beef? You know, I was waiting for, so the question and answers were great.
Yes.
That one more person, 10 people, that's one more person, revenue gap versus perception gap, that's what I wanted to hear. And I think, I know you.
Can I click through?
Yeah, I
You wanna see
know,
something?
I know you are.
No one asked me about anything, and people
put
wouldn't let me
financials
put
to spark
anything in there.
questions.
All right, but here's the thing. I don't think it's a game you wanna play at John Wilson. Right?
Very
I-
good point.
I
Very
think
good point.
you need to look at all of these things and pick the ones that you think sell what you're doing the most and put them in the damn presentation. And so that we can see them, because what you didn't do was sell it to me. You didn't lay the foundation and you didn't sell me on the solution until afterwards. And then it made sense to me. You cannot risk the questions of the judges, and at the same time, you can't risk if the judge's gonna ask the question, right? Judge's gonna ask the question, you're gonna give the answer, and they're gonna say, yeah, but I had to ask.
For those, you were saying the 4 and 10, we did visualize that. We used the numbers, what we did was we looked at those numbers that are heavily data filled and took them and put them in images like this and this, just so that it's not visually yelling at you is how we like to put it. And we put numbers to kind of spark questions, so we can show we've done all this.
But I think,
But how much?
Go back to that, let's talk about that. What have we got in there that would be interesting to see? Because you were flipping through some and I went, there it is, right?
We're not talking about putting a whole table of financial statements, balance sheet, income statement. I've never suggested put the whole
A
damn thing.
summary,
Yeah.
a summary.
Just pull
No,
out
I
one,
was
two, or
gonna
three.
do a income statement extract, basically
An extract.
six
Yeah.
lines of data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But whatever. I'm the finance guy. I don't want to sound like I'm disagreeing with my teammates here, but I would.
Historical analysis, because there,
What
we
we
have a
tried to
visual.
do is we just took
I
that,
would-
the growth rate.
That wasn't
If
it.
you go back here, I would put the projected passenger number, the fact that we are increasing the marketing and sales, operational efficiency that's increasing there, reducing operational loss, and average load factor, 6 lines possibly max.
That's
But
already, it's already.
there's only
in
two of
there.
But by
We didn't
putting
use.
just the growth rate, we
I
figured that
actually-
it implied the trend that would be in the numbers preceding anyway.
I actually like that slide. No, the one you're saying, I did like that slide, that simplified slide, but go back to that index of all your appendices. There's stuff in there.
Industry trends.
Let's go through them. Can you flip through them? Let's see, you've got
And
this.
if they were linked properly.
Oh, they're not linked properly. That's okay.
Oh, okay, just start at the beginning and flip through them with the arrow.
Rural, strategic goals,
I like that one.
this one.
I like
Yeah.
the matrix.
That's from their website, this is actually their goals and what we
Doesn't matter. I
related
don't care if
to.
you're stealing it or not. It's good data.
Okay,
Steal it.
keep going.
Perceptual.
We did conceptual
That's
maps of
great.
cost and time versus cost and experience.
I like that stuff.
Me
I
too.
like that stuff.
That's what I
That's
saw.
the kind of thing that
That's
should be in
what
a
I saw when she
Okay.
flipped through, and I thought, hey,
I don't mean financial statements. I don't mean
okay,
calculations.
keep going, keep going.
Visualization.
Visualize, thank you.
This is for segmentations.
Visualization of data.
Just a description of 2 of the partners we suggested. The marketing breakdown of the budget. Marketing increases based on percentage of revenues. Our risks in more detail. Competition in more detail. And then numbers.
I think you guys did
an amazing job, and it's a little value add now for us, because a lot of diminishing return. I mean, I've seen you all three times. Presentation was great, and, you know, agree, maybe you can throw it in if time permitting, but the only thing I would add, if you can even add an extra level of polish, is avoid I like how you took the advice of project management plan. You stole that, that's why you got your triad, right? Time, cost, quality, right? That sets it up. I would suggest another thing to think about, especially in your Q&A. Don't ever use the words but, however. Replace it with a period, simply a statement, right? Whether you agree with it or not, and then go into it. I would replace it with something else to kind of link all the points together. Because why should you, via rail, focus on these three distinctions? Because, right? I loved your analysis. I mean, it's great. I mean, it is a simpler case, in my judgment, but I think you guys knocked it out of the park for me, and this is your best of the three.
I was very, very impressed, I really was. What I was talking about in agreement with Linda was merely tightening it up. It drives me crazy when I see a slide that doesn't have a number. And I'm not talking calculus, I'm not talking statistics, I'm talking arithmetic. You know, like a car is 50% more expensive per mile than a train, you know, or something like that, some big picture metric. Because when all I see is words, I think it's just mush. But that's a bias I have about any slide anywhere. And one big picture metric, I think, on that, you kept talking about efficiencies, and I kept thinking, I didn't even know this. But I didn't have a sense of how big the efficiencies were. You said, well, you know, they cut their operating costs by 40% in the last 5
Okay,
years.
so just
Wow.
quantifying,
Sorry?
like you want us to quantify it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I do say numbers like percentages,
Yeah.
metrics, it's called metrics. Visualization of metrics.
Visualize those metrics.
Those metrics.
The big message, you know, distill this. Give me the big message.
It's like, I hate to use politicians, my God, but, you know, they'll get up there, we've reduced unemployment by 30%. It's a really big picture, you know what I mean? That kind. I'm not talking calculus and derivatives and stuff, you know, just big picture metrics, you know?
So more.
Reduced operating costs by 35% in 3 years. you
We
know?
So if I had
Ridership
this
of the
particular
businesses.
number in there, which clearly shows train operation costs going down.
Ah, now there, that's a phenomenal metric.
So
That you were
just
saying
that
now.
one.
Okay, one decimal place then.
Yeah.
Yes,
Two decimal places?
yes,
Not necessarily. one.
and always round out and get rid of all the zeros.
Yeah.
Zeros in the middle when you're talking about costs in millions or revenues in millions. But I thought you were really, really, really good.
And there's so many things came out in the questions that I wish I had known in the presentation. That's what I'm thinking
Well,
about.
we keep coming back to that, that's true. But we have 20 minutes, so something had to come out. What would you take out? Okay, if we wanted to add something, and I'm not disagreeing, what would you have taken?
Well, can you go back, let's go back to the beginning. I don't know.
We found it was really hard going through and thinking, okay, 20 minutes, we have all this information, how do we build
Yeah.
just the story that we want to tell, which is communicate with consumers?
Yeah. There were some that were long.
This one was long.
This one was long, this one was
Because shortened
lengthy.
See, I didn't think that really told me anything. It's sort of one of those almost tautological statements. You gotta have people, you gotta have operations, you gotta have marketing to be successful. I mean, okay, yeah, but it's not illuminating.
I thought this part went on too long.
Yes.
So I wanted you to stop talking.
If you would just zeroed in on one or two and said, look, our HR is 50% more productive and our operations is 30% less cost, that would have said everything you need to say.
Or else you say,
Put those numbers in.
we've addressed these, and have them pop up, we've done these, here's where we gotta fix it, right?
Yeah, I
This
wasn't positive what the hell this was about.
Me neither, didn't get it.
Well, what it's saying is, look at all the important parts of the business, which means all the parts of the
Well,
value
this
chain.
was what
There's all the stuff they're doing
Via's
right.
doing well right now, but
Yeah.
it's online marketing and none of this is actually filling the seats was the point. That's the gap.
Well, then I would just talk about the point, that
Yeah,
one point,
you see?
There it is.
just that one point.
Okay. We have our smiley face.
See, I would have put numbers there, I really would have, something.
Yeah, yeah.
How
You
do
know,
we met yourself?
Cost
What
per
about the
kilowatt,
you
per
know,
kilometer, or, you know, or the average ticket to Toronto for a bus versus
And the
a
Like
train.
time-
average price per
Something like
kilometer
that.
travel.
Yeah,
Just
and
to
then
give a
the time
comparison.
as well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the cost,
Not too much more.
the time, different, the time it takes, you know, to get there, whatever.
Would you have rather seen the perceptual maps there instead of those bubbles?
Well, I really like the perceptual map.
I like the perceptual
So
map.
do the
Perceptual maps
people,
are
so do the judges, they love to see them.
Yeah, I like those perceptual maps.
So-
Way more.
Particularly in
Because I guess
strategy.
it kind of does say the same
Yeah.
thing as yours.
And
You
would
can
it
use the
be-
size on the perceptual
No.
map to convey the same
Yeah.
point.
I'm just changing for a
Yeah,
moment, but
so
I use
shape.
OECD a lot because OECD is comparative analysis. And you know, a comparative is always really illuminating. You're saying this is bigger than that, is bigger than that, or it's smaller, or it's faster, or it's cheaper. And when you put up numbers, and again, it might be percentages or dollars, you know, buses are 20% cheaper than planes, or 50% cheaper than planes, because then you're also, it's not that you're just trying to snow people with numbers, you're trying to show implicitly the competitive advantage. If you're showing that buses are 50% cheaper than planes, that's their competitive advantage. You know, if you're arguing that it's really the time, well, then you want to talk about the time, what you were talking about, I'll get it up here on the screen.
Yeah,
Okay,
I agree.
because putting all that information on here, there's so many points for each of them, like different combinations of this,
You have to select, I'm not
Yeah,
saying you put it,
yeah.
you're dumping.
so.
You guys,
select.
it's just, you oversimplify.
Okay.
You need to go, there needs to be a happy
That's right.
medium between overwhelming us and and underwhelming us with that, with the visuals. So there's somewhere in between, pick the high points.
So perceptual maps in this case would have been enough of a competitive overview to make our point
I think so.
in
Yeah.
this case.
I think so.
Okay.
I would have used
But which
the, I would,
two axes would we have chosen? Because there's three that were.
Or would we have shown both, we had cost and experience and cost
You
and
did
Lots of real
time.
estate.
Um,
Tons of real estate.
I would have pulled, should have, in hindsight, should have pulled the data from the tool that they actually had, which said, and did we save the diagram in our Dropbox folder, which said,
No, we didn't.
Yeah,
which,
that would have
which
been
had, probably I ended up on my desktop,
Training
which had the differentials
Yeah,
as
the
opposed
time, the last
Mhm.
figure.
to the time thing.
Something big picture.
That would have
You can
been-
Suck up in 5 seconds just by
Yeah.
looking at the
I'm
screen.
gonna time
You
thing.
should have put that
The
in.
time thing would
Time thing.
Because, I mean, it's totally true. It does take 5 hours on a plane to get to Toronto.
All in.
And here I'm chilling out listening to my iPod, and there I'm getting patted down because where I don't want selecting people
Oh,
from.
and readjusting all your stuff and carrying it around and doing
And
it.
you can't even get your damn laptop out of the overhead, first off, and making you check it out.
Yeah, but they don't even profile you, like, you know.
Yeah, I get randomly sent to the left every time.
You too, eh? I have Nexus, they have my eyeballs, my fingerprints.
And they still,
Secondary all the time, profile, what's
serious?
new.
You don't wanna go
Halifax,
Nexus.
100% of the time.
Really?
You?
Yeah, in Halifax, 100% of the time.
I got
Really?
told in Dallas
That's
that the
amazing.
They like
decision
your
was
hair.
made before I arrived at the airport, the decision was made. And then one of my
You know
students
what?
tipped me off, I never thought about this, like Turkish people and people who speak Arabic, I think I might be Turkish or Arabic because of my name.
But there's, that little pad you step on, has nothing to do with it.
Oh,
There's a guy in the back, looking left, right,
Dude, I
left,
go
right.
left every time.
I know for
But just so you don't get taken over and interpret what we're saying,